Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. In today's video we're going to be focusing on Mando, Andor, and stay to the end because we got a big tease for Qi'ra in the Hidden Empire. Before we dive into it though my dear friends, please be sure to hit that big red subscribe button down below if you've not done so, and give the bell a tickle so that you're alerted every time I post a new video. But without much further ado and without any more jibber jabber, let's dive straight into it. Today we've got some very exciting Mando news. According to Production Weekly, The Mandalorian Season 4, that's right 4, which Jon Favreau teased at Celebration that he's already started writing, begins filming next month. Months before even Season 3 is out, they're already cracking on with Season 4. Season 3 comes out in February of 2023, which means the 4th season will likely debut in early 2024. This effectively means that the wait between seasons is going to be much less than for Seasons 2 and 3. Now there has been some speculation that this production listing could be for the Book of Boba Fett Season 2, but this is very unlikely considering the Book of Boba Fett was first revealed by Production Weekly as, quote, untitled Boba Fett series, so there isn't any secrecy here. If it was for Boba Season 2, they would have said so. In the same listing, Production Weekly also revealed that Andor Season 2 begins filming this November, confirming previous rumours, and that means 2024 as a release date is likely, so that's going to be a year full of Star Wars content, as is the year before, 2023. Very exciting stuff, although I hope the quality isn't jeopardised by the quantity of shows being produced. Over the next 2 years, between 2023 and 24, we would have had a total of 4 installments of the so-called Mandoverse. The Mandalorian Season 3, Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, and Mando Season 4. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are truly ramping things up. I'm so excited. And so now guys, we have an update for the Andor series, specifically concerning the musical score by Nicholas Brittle. Apparently while Andor does have a main theme, it's going to have 12 variations across Season 1, so in other words, it changes slightly every episode to represent the tone of each, and personally I think that's awesome, something experimental which perhaps they should implement in more shows going forward, but I suppose that's down to the decision of the composer. So here's the excerpt from which this info comes. Let's dive into it. Brittle and Gilroy began collaborating on music for Andor 2 years ago, long before it was time to enter the scoring stage to record, but the extended creative period gave them time to truly develop an understanding of the level of focus and commitment scoring the first 12 episodes of Season 1 would require. Tony Gilroy says, "We both underestimated the amount of work it was going to take. All of a sudden, it turns into this gigantic thing, but it's been one of the great creative experiences I've ever had." Tony Gilroy recalls hearing the theme Brittle had penned for the series for the first time. He said, "One day I went to Nick's house and he played us this theme. I was like, oh my god, that's our theme. I called Kathy Kennedy to say, we have a theme, but audiences should take notes that each episode features a slightly altered version of the opening music. None of the opening sequences are the same, and each variation is a different orchestration. A completely different interpretation of our theme that Nick has done. So there you have it guys, a unique approach that takes into consideration each episode and its themes." Staying on the subject of the Andor series, Tony Gilroy's opened up about Star Wars canon. This big question we talk about with every series: what is canon? Does it matter as much as people think? And should directors and showrunners like Tony Gilroy be able to come in and change established law? That seems to be the focal question of a big fan debate, and it continues today because Tony Gilroy's spoken about the different kinds of canon. In my opinion, canon is really one big thing, but in his mind, there are different types of it. Let's see what he said. Speaking with Empire magazine, the Andor showrunner broke down his thoughts on working within Star Wars canon and the boundaries that exist because of that. Gilroy says he takes joy in the fact that everyone already knows the end of Andor's story, remarking that, quote, limitations like that are liberating. While the idea of working around the same time period as so many other projects might seem daunting, Gilroy noted that canon is happening everywhere in the galaxy, but for Andor, there is something completely different. In his own words he said, "But our show is about ordinary people. They're behind the scenes. They're going to build the road to the revolution. We're really in the kitchen with these people. Our people are back there washing dishes, so canon might be happening off stage, but what's happening for them is something completely different. Every day our aspiration in every department, on every costume, every weapon, and every sideburn is always how to make it real." Now while it sounds like he might have confused what canon even means, he went on to say that for him, there are 4 or 5 levels of canon, and if there were any problems, he always went to Star Wars lore advisors advisor, Pablo Hidalgo. And interestingly enough, he kind of addressed Star Wars Rebels being a big influence on the series, or what he calls the cartoon canon, which he had to factor in when creating the series, so there is a good chance we might see the Ghost Crew years before the Ahsoka series. That would be a dream come true. If Star Wars Rebels was on his radar and Pablo Hidalgo informed him about it, we might see 1 or 2 characters from Star Wars Rebels make an appearance. That'd be incredible. Now, a lot of outlets have pointed out Tony Gilroy is deliberately poking the fans. He knows what he's doing here. Canon is a very touchy subject, and generally speaking, it matters a great deal, but these days, it's a delicate subject to broach. One misstep, and a lot of fans will be knocking on the door. Tony seems like he's very willing to work within the framework of what exists. He had Pablo Hidalgo there to kind of keep him in line, but that being said, he sounds like he's very flexible on what canon means in terms of this show. In many ways, I don't think he's going to break canon, but rather add to it, give us this fresh perspective on the underdogs of the galaxy. And just the way he sees Andor is very different to the way Rogue One was made. He sees Andor's place smack dab in the middle of the Star Wars universe, kind of a behind the scenes thing. What he's saying here in this interview is that all of the main events that we know of Star Wars going on at this period are the forefront, whereas Andor is a story that is kind of in the shadows, in the underworld of the galaxy. But knowing the way Lucasfilm do have restrictions, I'm pretty sure nothing major that we know is going to be altered. But I found his answer really interesting. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. And so finally, my dear friends, we need to talk about Hidden Empire, the final installment of what's been a very fun trilogy. So we first had War of the Bounty Hunters, which reintroduced Qi'ra, then we had Crimson Reign, all about Qi'ra and Crimson Dawn, and now it's Hidden Empire. At the end of Crimson Reign, it was kind of teased that Qi'ra and Palpatine are going to go head to head, but we finally have a tease by Charles Soule for this exclusive final installment. StarWars.com says Star Wars Hidden Empire, a 5-issue miniseries, starts in November, and this is going to be the 3rd installment of the Qi'ra trilogy. I'm just gonna say this flat out right now, it really sounds as though she's gonna die in this series. While she is powerful and a great leader, she's also very, very arrogant. She thinks she can take on the Sith, but with Palpatine and Vader well aware of her, I don't think she stands a chance. So Charles Soule said the following: "This new story is designed to deliver the big finale of Qi'ra's story, at least this phase of it. She emerged from years of hiding with an elaborate, incredible plan to bring down the Sith, and Hidden Empire is the endgame. It brings in players from all over the Star Wars universe, from Vader to Dr. Aphra to the Knights of Ren, and I think it's going to be really satisfying but tragic." And there's the word tragic again. We heard the Archivist, that mysterious character from the previous installment, use the same word about Crimson Dawn. Now there is a chance Crimson Dawn perishes, but not Qi'ra, but I think this is going to be the last of her. We have an exclusive first look at issue 1's cover. She looks majestic, and for Qi'ra fans this really is going to be the ultimate miniseries. As I say, that drops in November. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. Are you going to be reading this? I will cover them as I did with Crimson Reign, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on this and everything we spoke about in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, as always, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you always. I'm Star Wars Meg. Have a good one.